Hey, what's up guys, Oakley, and we're playing some more Warhammer 2 multiplayer battles. Been doing a fair amount of quick battles as of late. I've been playing mostly as Norska and Bretonnia. Norska just because of Turin's video, and Bretonnia because I am of French heritage, and well, it's awesome to rock them out in a fantasy setting. What I've been finding decent traction with is going a bit wide in the infantry front. So that's what you're seeing here. Interspersed is going to be a main line of men-at-arms with foot squires. And that'll give you a relatively tanky front line, at least by Bretonnian standards, with the Grail Relic to give it a little bit more tankiness. And then what you can also do is come back with your lords and try and bolster it. The Knights of the Lionhearted actually have an encourage ability, so if the front ranks are wavering, you can actually pull this guy closer and he'll encourage them a little bit. So you can make this front line hold out fairly well. So that's my main component here. Then what do I have? My other main mobile force is going to be pushing on the left. I like to do this a lot, having kind of a force that I can throw forward and do my early game manipulation with before I close for the decisive encounter. So what this is going to be comprised of is going to be a screening peasant mob, backing 2 peasant bowmen, one with pox arrows, and that is just to debuff units. It'll help me slow enemies, so if something gets in range I want to slow it and keep firing at it, that'll help me out, as well as the fact that once combat is engaged, this guy can help do some support, and for 50 extra gold, it's not much. So yeah, that's it. Screening peasant force plus some archers just to go and probe ahead. They also have the beast slayers of Bastogne. This is to rebuff any cavalry that gets thrown my way. These are very elite units. Armor piercing, anti-large, charge defense against large guys. They'll be able to tank anything that comes after you, which is going to be, you know, this is a prime target. Coming after your archers, sending cavalry this way, so these guys are good to rebuff. And if things do get hot and heavy, I also have the anti-large Knights of the Lionhearted, Knights of the Realm, Regiment of Renown unit. So yeah, they're going to be coming along. Sitting in the back, well out of cannon shot, is going to be the Fey Enchantress and a Paladin. So she's going to be critical to giving me some longevity on my build, giving me some healing, and then I also have Mist of the Lady of her on her so that she can debuff enemy units, or sorry, not debuff, drain their health as long as she's engaged in melee. And then on top of that, I have the, I can't see it, but the Chalice, which allows me to do a bombardment spell, which is going to be good when my infantry get engaged. And then I brought a Paladin here mounted as well because he has the little protector ability, which means when he's close to her, he gives her some physical resistance. So just to allow her to have a bit more tankiness and allow her to get into combat if she wants to, and he can protect her. Then lastly, well, Bretonnia wouldn't be Bretonnia without the cavalry. We've already covered one of them. The other one is going to be a unit of Grail Guardians here. So these are going to be your awesome units, very expensive anti-infantry. So I have one of those. And then we already saw the cavalry units. So one of them was going to be pushing left, Knights Lionhearted, anti-large. And then here, anti-infantry units. So this is a little bit risky in the sense that I don't have much counter to cavalry in my play. Yes, I can throw cavalry into cavalry, but I don't have bonus versus large that I'll need. The only real units that I have is going to be the beast slayers here, and then one of them over here. So I'm very much concentrated. I'm banking on the enemy not bringing too much cavalry, which is kind of to be expected from Empire. They're not going to go super heavy on cavalry. What they will bring typically, and what you're going to be seeing here, is going to be the Royal Outdoor Griffites. These guys are going to be in almost every matchup against Bretonnia. The reason for that is, well, one, they look freaking beautiful. But more seriously is going to be the fact that they can cause terror, they're anti-large, armor piercing, and yeah, they're going to be excellent at slaying Bretonnia. But what this does mean is, as a single unit from his part, it means that I can match that with perhaps my Beast Slayers, although the terrain of this map is going to make it a little bit harder for me to swing around to the flanks. So what's going on with this Empire build? Well, this is one that you'll be seeing a lot online, and basically what it is it's a turtle formation centered around a Hammer of Witches unit. And this is going to be very critical as Empire, just because it has great range, good accuracy, can do magical damage, and is basically a slayer of elite Bretonnian knights. So his entire formation is built around defending that, and he's going to be playing Turtle. So he has a front line of swordsmen all shoved up to silver with a warrior priest just to give some resiliency, and then he can get some supporting fire with some crossbows. So you know, this is bait for... It's hard to charge through this with Bretonnian infantry. I can try, but he'll grind me out. And on the flanks, if I try and move in with cavalry, he has halberds to protect the flanks. As well as the fact that if I pounce too hard, he'll just come in and counter with these Royal Outdoor Griffites. or with these halberds. So he has 360 degrees. And then, of course, Balthasar Gelt also going to be in the mix, mounted to keep him mobile. But he's going to be here to pop some transmutation, final transmutation to debuff guys, strip armor of all my guys. So this is pretty scary turtle. And then also what he does have is going to be 2 of these pistoliers. Good choice against Bretonnia in that they're fast, nimble, and they have, they should have armor piercing, I believe. No, these are just the regular kind. Outriders have armor piercing, pistoliers not so much, but these guys are just going to be meant to do a little bit of early damage, I guess, against my infantry line. So you can see them unloading. I didn't bring any swords to go a bit cheap here, or sorry, I didn't bring any shields, so they're going to be eating a bit of that ammo. But it does bait out a little bit of preemptive charge with my Girl Guardians. Wasn't sure if I'd gotten them distracted enough to catch them. I could have, but he's coming in here with the Outriders with armor piercing, so I disengaged from that front. Hammer of Witches probably also going to be trying to fire into my guys, so I'm going to pull back into the woods. I have another cavalry force also to screen. But yeah, I'm just trying to zone him out, feel out what's in the woods for now, and just push him back. But here comes the main blob in the center. Going to start to do its stuff. Crossbowmen are a good pick, a little bit cheaper, and they'll be able to tear through some of my lightly armored guys here. See, I'm throwing away one of these units, but it's okay. It's from the big peasant base, so I'm not too worried. My opponent does a smart thing here, just sees them off the battlefield with a quick charge there. It is going to be an opportunity for me to charge in, but slowly but surely he's whittling away my guys with almost no damage. At least now at this point I'm in range, so I'm pulling up with my archers. He doesn't have his crossbows trailed on me just yet, so I'm going to start to just strip away elements of his main line here, chew into the unshielded side of his swordsman. I could pick another target. One of the things that I should probably be doing is hitting this Hammer of Witches. Unfortunately for me, it's a little bit in the woods, so I was scared of pulling up too quickly, and I wasn't sure what was in here. So I'm going to wait till my Beast Slayers are in position, then maybe try and snipe this Hammer of Witches. We'll see how that goes, but his crossbows are now going to reposition to counter. I do come in here and land a bit of a wonky assault, and then I pull out the last minute against his guys to reveal his halberdiers and whatever's going on. So did a little bit of weakening on his swordsman, and then I'm going to disengage. You can see how he's staying very turtled up. But basically all of that was just to do some more damage on his flanks and allow me to close in with my main infantry line, see when we can get this engagement on. And I do reveal the Royal Outdoor Griffites, who are going to stay here and not pursue too far. They're going to stay close to the turtle. Yeah, over here, his concentrated crossbow fire has done a fair amount of damage to my peasants. They're just here to screen, but now they're going to be retargeting against these Beast Slayers, who don't have the best of armor here from the front. Let's go ahead and watch this. So my opponent decides that now is the time to charge forward with the state troops, but keep in mind that there's no need for me to take this engagement. I feel like I'm getting the advantage right now in the current status quo, minus maybe the cannon. But I'm going to pull out of here, and I'm waiting for my lords to pull up. I had waited a little bit too long to pull them up, but I wasn't anticipating getting an engagement here just yet. And by doing this, what I'm doing is slowly trying to pick apart his turtle formation. You can see it's opening up, and maybe what I can do now is seize the opportunity to pounce on his warrior priest. Now, it is going to mean that I am going to be taking some more murderous fire from the cannon, which I'm now going to be putting fire on to try and kill. But my guy is really not doing the damage they need to. He's getting all kinds of Balthasar Gelt spells off, plus crossbowman fire to really shred my my archers there. But now I'm able to completely gank this warrior priest. He's going to pop all sorts of abilities to try and buff himself up. Bombardment spells as well. Going to be chewing into me, so this is pretty dangerous. And he's going to throw in his reinforcements. He really wants to save that warrior priest, but I think I got him in my grasp. The lady's going to charge in as well, trying to start to drain the enemy, and then I'm going to block this assault with my paladin just to break that, and then we'll come in with the foot squires and clean that up. And I'm going to try and get 2v1s wherever I can. So swordsman at half strength charging into the foot squires, that battle will be mine. And so now I'm getting a pretty good engagement where I forced him out into the open against my guys. 2v1 here. 1v1 men-at-arms versus swordsman. I'll lose that, but I have a lot of overwhelming firepower here, and I've slaughtered this warrior priest. That's a nice little pickup. It is a bit clustered in the sense that now these Hammer of Witches can hit me, but take a look at this. The lady with one of her chalice bombardment spells gonna just... Let's get a view of this. Yeah. Absolutely destroying that swordsman unit. So the lady doing tons of work here. And this is going to slaughter this flank rather handedly. He's going to try and get Plague of Rust against my guys, but it's too late. I've already pretty much routed his guys. Now I'm going to start to turn the flank and gobble up his infantry. At this point, though, however, in the rear, he's still staying very much bottled up. All the halberds, everything dedicated to defending this Hammer of Witches, which is pretty smart. Over in the back, I did engage with my Knights of the Lion-Hearted. They're anti-larged, and they traded decently health-wise with these Royal Outdoor Gryphites, but they're really no match. The Gryphites are just so good. But that's why I had pulled up with my Beast Slayers of Bastogne, so they got in here, and we're starting to tear up these Royal Outdoor Gryphites. The enemy is going to send in his own halberds to try and trade with my guys. But that's about it for my damage in the rear here. All I have is a single unit, and it's really hard for me to take out this Hammer of Witches with the defenses he's got going on, and it's doing a lot to keep my Grail Guardians and stuff at bay. I could circle them around to try and engage in melee here, but that's going to bring them right up into the firing line of that Hammer of Witches. So for now, I have to keep them at bay and try and move them into the woods to prevent that damage. In the front lines, we're doing really good. The lady going to be popping Favor of the Fae, popping to get more melee attack off, just to help me slaughter this front line. And it seems like it's working. Great Swords engaged, and I should be able to kill them. The lady, meanwhile, here, going to try and turn the tide where things were going probably against me. So things are looking okay. I collapsed this swordsman unit, and now we're going to be doing more work. But Balthasar Gelt here, sitting in the back, going to be invoking, I don't know what that spell is, some sort of magical bombardment, doing tons of damage. I'm going to heal up to counteract this, and it's going to heal up the majority of my blob. But these Outriders also going to be putting in some damage. Up through the front, I decide to make a play for his cannon crew. My men-at-arms have been able to come into it, but you can see somehow these guys being so resilient after taking so many volleys of arrows and charges from my infantry. They're still going to hold, and these halberds are going to pincer me. Meanwhile, I do send more and more troops into the mix here. Pistoliers from the enemy are going to engage to try and shut me down, but man, that cannon is still firing despite combat being, all around them. My guys are going to start to come back, but Balthasar is doing a bit of his cleanup operations. This is really good for my opponent. Use your Lord where and when he can. So he's been getting spells off. He found a side where he's pretty safe, and he's just going to try and clean up my units here and there. So lots of little pockets of activity here. I'm going to try and get some good action with my knights. Over on the left, over on the right, knocking about his main line, trying to help my guys out, but slowly through attrition, you can see my front line has really been withered away. Was very surprised to see that. The knights and great swords of the Empire, or state troops I should say, just handling much better than my own men, probably with the Plague of Rust helping a lot. Anyways, I get a little bit frisky with Balthasar Gelt here. Going to be engaging, and this is not going to go my way if I engage in too long and he gets spells off. And with the lady coming in here, I'm able to chase him away, so that's pretty good. Gonna rebuff him as I clean up the rear lines, but there's still a healthy amount of stuff back here. And take a look at this. My paladin is trying to engage with Balthasar, but I was scared he was gonna get a final transmutation against me, so I popped Rigo. Yep, there he goes, final transmutation. He's gonna try and slay my paladin. He gets super low, 400 health, and that's going to cause him to rout. But luckily the lady, with so much blessings that she's put on him to heal him up, it's going to keep him just intact enough. So she retreats, but that means I can't engage with these guys. So still, these damage dealers are up and running. Hammer of Witches, crossbowmen, and a couple halberd units. So he still has the core of his turtle still alive, which is scary for me, considering I'm starting to get very low on numbers. Do I have enough to crack this nut? We'll see. I'm going to try and engage here. Royal Outdoor Gryphites have been sent into the center. A smart move to try and kill some of my anti-infantry cavalry and Grail Guardians, so I don't really have the answer here. So he's going to be getting a lot of work done with these guys. Dropping really low on health. Okay, over on this flank, the Fae also doing what she can to even the odds. Try and save my peasants. wherever possible. And she's going to be doing some health draining against these halberdiers. Oh my god, that Hammer of Witches tearing up my guys. Yikes. Meanwhile, Beast Slayers in the back are still holding out, halberd versus halberd, but I have some reinforcements with the men-at-arms, which should allow me to finally take out this unit in the back and then eventually turn into the center. Oh, another final transmutation pop. So he found some good units, and this is going to absolutely slaughter my men-at-arms. They're trying to close on the cannon with what they have left. Ooh, yikes. But they're going to probably drop here, and I have just very, very little left to charge in here. And he still has, you know, even these crossbowmen should be enough to take me out. So I cannot shut this Hammer of Witches down. I still have a little bit of infantry or cavalry from the center, so they're going to be circled up. So there you go, the lady going to run an intercept on those halberds, allowing my guys to just cleanly charge into these crossbowmen. That should be really good for me, but still, my guys so low on health are going to be routed. God, this is not looking good for me. So what I have left, not very much. Balance of power still even. We are about 200 and 300 troops apiece. The lady does charge in, and yeah, you can see a little bit of debuffs going off on all of these guys in her proximity. So that's one of the things that I have going for me. Balthasar Gelt here is very scary when he gets his spells off, but when found isolated, I think this paladin may be having just enough health to come in and finish him off before he can get a spell off. This is going to be very, very key for me. So as things hang in the balance, the Fae is going to be one-upping this entire army, distracting them completely and allowing me to chase after the enemy lord. Balthasar is going to pull back into the turtle once more, seeking the shelter of his company. And this is just a bloody mess. I finally kill off the Hammer of the Witches, but not after it's done tremendous damage. And all I have left is going to be just about these three units, the Fae, Paladin, where I start to pop all sorts of abilities. So Favor of the Fae, I'm trying to get him completely souped up so that when he comes in charging here with 89 melee attack, he'll be able to shred Balthasar. Balthasar, meanwhile, looks like he's going to be popping all sorts of abilities to try and get more winds of magic. He's desperately trying to get a final transmutation, but here we're going to try and team up against him. But that is pretty much it. In the rear lines, he still has some outriders fencing with my Grail Guardians, and he still has some halberds holding out against my Beast Slayer. So it really comes down to the balance of the lords here. This is going to be really crazy stuff. So let's watch this. But it looks like the Paladin is going to have just enough health to see Balthasar off, and boom, there you go. That causes the cascade, and finally, at the very end, when the turtle formation here was wound down to the size of like just a little nut, I should say. It used to be a turtle shell, and we ground it down all the way to a little nut. And then finally we cracked that nut with the Paladin, and I think he was critical to that victory. Being able to heal him up with the Fae at that decisive moment we saw a couple minutes back was critical, and I think he helped pull us back from the brink of defeat. But you can see just how dangerous it is to go up against a Hammer of Witches here. If properly defended as Bretonnia, it's really hard to get into that. You know, had I had even more cavalry, he had enough halberds on all flanks to shore that up. And then he had the Royal Outdoor Gryphites to countercharge. And then the main line of just Empire State troops were enough to counter even my heavy play of infantry. Perhaps what I could have done a little bit better was maybe go a little bit wider, slightly wider with the cavalry. And that main infantry line that was engaged, just do a clean charge right into his guys. You saw he had no anti-large defense. So knock those guys about. Then once the battlefield, you know, once the battle's engaged, just circle around with my cavalry and boom, hit him in the back. But again, that's all going to be countered by the turtle formation and the Hammer of Witches. So perhaps it might be best to find a way to counter the Hammer of Witches. I tried to do that with my peasant bowmen, but you saw they were not going down. The nice quick reaction with the crossbowmen really rebuffed me, and so I'm not quite sure how you take this out. And if you can't, then it is just going to be plonking away at you over time. But anyways, that was a very, very fun battle. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know I did. And let's go ahead and take a look at those final stats. So yeah, here you can see it. Across the board, like I said, very wide on my guys. Decent amount of kills on various men, but Knights of the Lionhearted here, anti-large, were slaughtered by the Royal Outdoor Gryphites with got 55 kills against very expensive units. So this was very, very valuable on my opponent's side. The pistoliers and the skirmishers doing really well just to plunk away at my health and then find opportunities to charge into the back of my guys. Hammer of Witches getting 49 kills, mostly on Grill Guardians and stuff like that, so that was crazy. His main line trading okay. Swordsman did pretty well against my main line, considering that the Foot Squires, I believe, are more expensive. And a single greatsword unit. That guy really made his presence known with 96 kills. I think luckily for me also, I was able to shred this warrior priest very early on. Had he been able to stay engaged in the fight, he would have been buffing up the main line much, much more, getting off all kinds of spells and stuff, and it would have been very, very bad for me. But things turned out, a real nail biter, but we eked it out in the end there. So yeah, that's it. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.